Ladies and gentlemen, what if everything you're going through isn't meant to destroy you, but to define you? What if the very thing you're running from is the exact thing that holds the key to your greatest power? Here's the truth that most people miss, the truth that flips your entire mindset from powerless to unshakable. It's not about what's happening to you, it's about what's happening for you. That one mental shift. It changes everything. Most people go through pain asking the wrong question. Why is this happening to me? That question chains you to the floor. It keeps you stuck in a loop of self, pity, blame, and helplessness. It's like handing over the steering wheel of your life to circumstances you can't control. And the longer you stay in that mindset, the more powerless you feel. Life becomes something that happens to you instead of something you shape. You start believing the lie that you're a victim of your past, of other people's choices, of bad luck, of timing. And when you believe that, you surrender your power. But everything changes the moment you ask a different question. Why is this happening for me? Suddenly, your pain has purpose. Your obstacles become opportunities. Your heartbreaks become blueprints. You begin to realize that nothing was random. Every challenge was a teacher. Every loss was a lesson. Every delay was a redirection. When you make this mental shift, you stop looking at pain as punishment and start seeing it as preparation. You begin to notice that the things that hurt you the most are often the things that built you the most. It's not just some motivational slogan. This shift is a weapon. Because when you believe life is happening for you, you start searching for growth in the chaos. You start extracting wisdom from your wounds. You look back at what tried to break you and say, "Thank you, you trained me." That shift builds resilience. It gives you back control. Suddenly, your pain doesn't own you, you own it. You take all the things that used to hold you down and turn them into the very things that lift you up. You may not be able to control what happens, but you can always control how you frame it. That framing determines your emotional strength, your clarity, your momentum. Two people can go through the same storm. One crumbles, the other rises. The difference, one saw it as the end, the other saw it as the beginning of something more. This isn't about ignoring pain, it's about redefining it. Seeing the struggle not as a stop sign, but as a signal that you're being shaped into someone stronger. Every time you shift from "why me" to "what's this teaching me," you reclaim another piece of your power. You stop reacting and you start responding with purpose. This one question becomes your compass, guiding you through the storm with your head high and your heart on fire. Because even if you didn't choose the pain, you can choose what it becomes. What if the very thing you're trying to numb, avoid, or erase is the exact thing that holds your next level? What if pain isn't the enemy but the engine? Most people misunderstand pain. They think it's a signal to stop, to shrink, to retreat. But pain isn't a wall, it's a window. And if you stop long enough to look through it, to feel it instead of fleeing from it, you'll find something powerful on the other side: fuel. Pain is the ultimate amplifier. It exposes who you really are and who you're meant to become. When everything is easy, you cruise, you coast, you settle. But when life squeezes you, when it punches you in the gut, that's when your real identity shows up. Pain has a way of waking up parts of you that comfort keeps asleep. And the people who achieve unstoppable purpose, they're not the ones who had perfect conditions, they're the ones who turned pain into power and power into purpose. Think about it, every great story has a struggle. Every transformation requires tension. The hero never starts the journey fully equipped or confident. They're usually broken, lost, afraid, but the pain, that's the catalyst. It forces them to grow, to fight, to evolve. Your pain is no different. The rejection that shattered you, it taught you self-worth. The failure that embarrassed you, it taught you resilience. The betrayal that crushed you, it sharpened your boundaries. Pain didn't just hurt you, it hardened you in the best way possible. It carved you into someone more capable than who you were before it hit. Most people don't lack talent, they lack fire. They lack that internal engine that keeps them moving when motivation disappears. Pain gives you that fire. It's not comfortable, but it's clarifying. It forces you to dig deep, to question, to shift, to rise. Pain is raw energy, and like energy, it can be destructive or it can be constructive. You choose what direction it flows. The problem isn't pain, the problem is how we frame it. We try to suppress it, numb it, avoid it with distractions, vices, fake positivity. But the most dangerous thing you can do with pain is ignore it. Because pain that's ignored becomes poison. But pain that's processed becomes power. The moment you lean into it, not in a way that drowns you, but in a way that disciplines you, you start transforming. You become a weapon. Every tear you cried becomes a sharpened edge. Every night you couldn't sleep becomes a tool in your mental arsenal. Every time you almost gave up becomes proof that you didn't. If you let it, pain can become the fuel that drives you to go further, to dig deeper, to build something real. People remember what you build through your pain, not what broke you. And you don't need to pretend it didn't happen. You just need to prove that it didn't end you. Pain is not in the way, it is the way. And when you let it fuel you instead of define you, you become unstoppable. What if the only thing standing between you and the life you were meant to live is the story you keep telling yourself about what happened to you? What if the labels you've worn, victim, failure, not enough, aren't your truth, but just your version of it? There's a moment when you have to decide, will I keep carrying this pain like a burden, or will I start using it like a blueprint? That's the shift, the moment when you stop living like a victim of your past and start showing up as the architect of your future. It's easy to play the victim. Life hits you hard. You get betrayed, abandoned, ignored, underestimated. And the first instinct, blame, protect, collapse inward. Victimhood gives you something. It gives you permission to stay still. It gives you a reason not to rise. But here's the uncomfortable truth: staying a victim keeps you safe, not strong. It protects your pain, but it blocks your power. The longer you wear the victim identity, the more you reinforce the idea that your life is out of your hands. And if you don't take responsibility, you can't take the wheel. You're not the driver, you're the passenger in your own story. But you weren't meant to ride in the backseat. You were born to build, and that pain you've been dragging around. It's not dead weight, it's raw material. The moment you shift your identity from victim to architect, the game changes. You start asking better questions. Instead of why did this happen to me, you start asking, how can I use this? That question alone flips the power dynamic. Suddenly, your worst moments become blueprints. Your heartbreak becomes foundation. Your failure becomes structure. You realize, I can build with this. Architects don't run from wreckage, they study it. They examine every crack, every collapse, every fault line, not to stay broken, but to understand how to rebuild better, stronger, unshakable. That's what pain gives you: insight, design, leverage. But you have to choose it. You have to wake up and say, I'm done waiting for someone to fix it. I'm going to create something with it. This mindset isn't about denial. It's not about pretending the pain didn't happen. It's about reclaiming what the pain tried to take: your identity, your momentum, your voice. Victimhood is about staying stuck in what happened. Being the architect means building forward with what you've learned. You don't ignore the scars, you study them. You use them to map out who you're becoming. That's where confidence comes from. Not fake affirmations, but the real lived experience of turning pain into progress. When you see yourself as the architect, you stop asking for permission to heal. You stop waiting for closure, for apologies, for circumstances to change. You decide that what broke you will build you. You take ownership, and ownership is the birthplace of freedom. Because once you realize you can design your life, even from rock bottom, you no longer fear the fall. You start focusing on the framework. What if your purpose isn't hiding in some perfect future, but buried right in the middle of your hardest moments? What if the very struggle you're trying to forget is the exact reason you're here, the foundation of your calling? People spend their whole lives chasing clarity, chasing meaning, chasing purpose like it's a treasure buried somewhere far away. But the truth, real purpose, doesn't come from comfort. It comes from the climb, from the fight, from the mess, from the pain you survived when no one else was watching. Most people believe purpose is something they find when everything's lined up, when they've healed, when they've succeeded, when they feel ready. But that belief keeps them stuck, waiting, drifting, postponing their power, because purpose isn't found in the absence of struggle, it's discovered right in the middle of it. You want to know who you really are. Don't look at your highlight reel. Look at how you acted when the floor dropped out from under you. Look at how you got back up. Look at what you refused to let break you. The people who walk with purpose didn't get there because life went easy on them. They got there because they walked through the fire, and instead of letting it burn them down, they let it burn away everything that wasn't real. Your purpose is often forged in the furnace of adversity. That's where character is built. That's where your voice starts to rise. That's where you stop playing small because you realize there's something inside you that pain couldn't kill. You've got to understand something critical. Purpose isn't about perfection. It's about perspective. It's about looking at your life and saying, I didn't go through all that just to go through it. I went through it to grow through it. Every scar has a message. Every failure contains instructions. Every painful moment is packed with insight that no book, no seminar, no mentor could ever give you. It's experience, it's real, it's earned, and that's what gives it power. Purpose that's born in comfort rarely moves people, but purpose born from struggle, that's the kind that shakes people. That's the kind that inspires, transforms, leads. Why? Because it's authentic. You lived it. You felt it. And now, instead of hiding it, you own it. You turn around and help others who are still stuck where you once were. That's the calling, not to have a perfect story, but to use your imperfect one as a light for someone else. The purpose you're looking for isn't out there. It's been growing in the dark, right beneath your pain, the entire time. And the more you try to avoid struggle, the further you get from the very thing that will unlock your next level. Because your calling isn't created in moments of ease. It's called out of you in moments of extreme discomfort. It's not about having all the answers, it's about having the courage to stand in the story you've lived, scars and all. What if the pain you've been through, the things you wish never happened, are actually raw material not just for healing, but for creating something that outlives the moment? People keep waiting for purpose to magically appear. They wait for clarity, for signs, for timing. But purpose isn't delivered, it's created, and it's created through action. There's this illusion that if you just sit long enough, meditate deep enough, read the right book or listen to the right person, your purpose will arrive like a lightning bolt. But it doesn't work that way. Purpose isn't something you get from the outside, it's something you extract from the inside. And that extraction only happens when you move. Action is the chisel that carves purpose out of pain. And every time you take a step forward, even a shaky one, you are shaping meaning out of the mess. Think about it. The most powerful people you admire didn't wait until they felt whole to start. They didn't wait until the pain faded. They didn't wait until the story made sense. They started in the middle of the chaos. They acted while their hands were still shaking, and in that action they found alignment. They found clarity. They built something that gave their pain a job. That's what action does. It gives your suffering somewhere to go. Otherwise, it just recycles inside of you, getting louder, heavier, more toxic. You might feel like you're not ready, like you're too broken, too confused, too behind. But that's the lie pain tells you, that you need to be better before you begin. The truth is, the work of building meaning will actually heal you. The more you pour your energy into helping someone else, creating something real, showing up with what you've got, the more those wounds start to close. Action creates motion, motion creates healing, and healing creates momentum. The trap is in waiting, waiting to feel better, waiting for validation, waiting for everything to make sense. But meaning doesn't show up before the work, it shows up because of the work. You don't get your purpose in the mail, you get it by making something, share your story, build your skill, help someone who's 5 steps behind you, make art, start a project. Take the pain that's been sitting on your chest and do something with it, even if it's small, even if it's messy. That's how purpose is born. Not from thinking, not from planning, not from waiting, but from doing. And the sooner you realize you don't need permission to begin, the sooner you start changing your life. Not all at once, not with fireworks, but step by step, move by move, choice by choice, until one day you realize you've turned the worst thing that happened to you into the most powerful thing you've ever built. What if the very thing you've been trying to fix about yourself isn't broken at all? What if the world doesn't need you polished, perfect, or pretending, but present, fully you? We live in a culture that sells us the lie that we need to become someone else in order to be worthy, that we have to earn love, that we need to prove ourselves to be accepted, that if we just hustle hard enough, succeed loud enough, or smile long enough, we'll finally be enough. But here's the truth that sets everything on fire. You are already enough. Not when you're healed, not when you're successful, now as you are, scarred, stretched, and still standing. People are starving for something real. We're surrounded by highlight reels, airbrushed lives, filtered emotions. And yet, deep down, everyone is asking the same question. Is there anyone out there who gets it? Someone who's not pretending. Someone who's been through the fire and doesn't hide their burns. That's where your power lies, not in your perfection, but in your realness. In your willingness to show up exactly as you are, not as who you think you should be. The world doesn't connect with the mask you wear, it connects with the story underneath. The pain you thought disqualified you is actually what qualifies you to lead, love, and impact. Because the ones who can stand in front of others and say, "I've been there," are the ones who break chains. You don't inspire people by being untouchable, you inspire them by being honest. And that starts with you deciding that your story doesn't need to be edited. It needs to be owned. Every time you think you're not enough, understand this. Your scars are someone else's survival guide. Your voice, shaky, raw, imperfect, could be the one that reaches someone who's drowning. But you've got to stop waiting to feel ready. You've got to stop disqualifying yourself because you think your past is too messy or your heart is too tired. The world doesn't need you when you're perfect. It needs you when you're present. It needs your truth, not your performance. And the moment you stop apologizing for who you are, you give others permission to do the same. That's how impact multiplies. That's how healing spreads. When people see someone stand in their story unashamed, it lights something up in them. It reminds them they're not alone, that they don't have to fake it anymore, that real is enough. You don't have to wait for a stage, a platform, or permission to be powerful. Your life, your presence, your authenticity, that is the platform. You carry value that no title, no status, no outside achievement can give you or take away. You being here, breathing, healing, trying, that's enough. And every time you choose to show up anyway, to speak anyway, to give anyway, even when it's hard, you prove that your value never came from being perfect, it came from being you.